All right, I'm aware Senator Hart is on Zoom, so I'll wait for the Zoom to pull up. Actually, Senator Hart. Can I see them?
Here.
Thank you. Senator Sharaf.
Here.
Thank you. Senator Woldekainen. Senator Woldekainen. Okay. Senator Wing. Thank you. Senator Demenji.
Here.
Thank you. Senator Victor Wynn.
Yeah.
Thank you. Senator Bryant.
Here.
Thank you. Senator Roberts.
Here.
Thank you. Senator Rivera.
Here.
Thank you. Senator Goma. Senator Goma. Okay. Senator Narala.
Present.
Thank you. Senator Berhanu. Senator Berhanu. Senator Tapp. Thank you. Senator Mendez Martinez. Senator Mendez Martinez. Senator Destin. Senator Destin. Okay. Senator Zigweed.
Present.
Thank you. Senator Mesta.
Present.
Thank you. Senator Mueller.
Here.
Thank you. Senator Parikh.
Here.
Thank you. Senator Blanchard.
Here.
Thank you. Senator Goff. Senator Goff. Okay. Senator Speltz.
Here.
Thank you. Senator Roiger.
Here.
Thank you. Senator Andry.
Here.
Thank you. Speaker Novak, that's me. President Zelmer had to run and pick up her charger. Vice President Ibrahim.
Here.
Thank you. All right, we're going to try to move through this real quick so people can get to the diversity dinner. So, we have, first up, we got presentations. We've got 2 of them listed. I would like to note that we have a 3rd presentation that unfortunately was not printed on the agenda, but we also have a presentation from ACLU. We're going to start with the tech fee, though. So, the tech fee can go ahead whenever they are ready. Presenters will be allowed for up to 10 minutes. So you can start whenever you're ready. I'm only doing it to get the extension codes.
Hi there, I'm Brian Schneider, IT Solutions and Tech Fee Budget. We've been up to a lot of things, but this presentation is in Teams, so you can go ahead and look through some of the things that we've done. Jumping right into our budget, we get our revenue from a number of different sources. The main one is general fund. We obviously get tech fees. Mid-State provides us some funding for infrastructure replacement. We get institutional equipment. We apply for grants just like most of the departments throughout the university. And that's what we use for sharing of replacement equipment. Our computer store buys computers and sells computers, and we get revenue from that. And we also provide services to other departments at the university, as well as other Minnesota State colleges and universities. We provide them services and they pay us for that. So we have a variety of different funding sources. Looking at our overall budget, our revenue for the whole division is $13.1 million. Our main revenue source is the general fund at 42%. All those other sources, other departments and colleges and universities paying us is about 31% of our budget, and tech fees is the smallest area at 27%. A lot of people like to know how much of our money goes to staff and how much of our budget goes to stuff. And if you just look at our main sources, general fund and tech fee, 58% goes to staff and the rest of it goes to everything else. All right, from now on, I'm just going to talk about tech fee. Our tech fee comes in, we break it out into different service areas. So the main thing that your tech fees go for is actually equipment and services and software in the classrooms. So an example of that would be presentation systems, projectors, audiovisual systems, control systems in the classrooms, as well as computer labs. The computers and software that run on it is about 41% of the tech fees. The next biggest area is my area, infrastructure. So that's servers, networks, licensing, and things like that. And then we break it out into other areas from there. All right, if we combine all that and look at where your tech fees go, the small equipment, like for access points, network equipment, the control systems, stuff in classrooms, is about, last year was about $634,000. Most of the tech fees actually goes to software and maintenance, and that was about $1.3 million. Our second biggest cost is actually for student help. So that's about $630,000. Now we have probably about 80 students that we employ. Most of them are international students, and they provide us with a tremendous amount of skill. We wouldn't be able to provide the services that we do without our student helpers. And they do everything from streaming events to video production, information security, marketing, development, web development, and they provide support too in the classrooms and for students that need help with their computers. So that's our second biggest area of expense. If you look at the history of tech fees over the past 20 years, around the time that you were born, we have gradually been increasing the tech fee, which is the gold or the purple bars, over the years. And the gold bars are actually the enrollment. So you see since fiscal year 12, our enrollment has been going down. The green line is actually the revenue for tech fees. But what you see on the icons above, that's new technology that's been introduced. Remember MySpace? We've also added a lot more new facilities as well. We've got Julius Sears Presca, the Hubbard Building, Clinical Science Building has a ton of technology in it. We've got the dining hall, and even the dome has technology in it. So we've added a lot more places where technology is, and a lot more equipment to support. The thing about technology, though, is you don't just purchase it. There's ongoing costs, too, because whenever you buy something, you have to patch it, maintain it, fix it when it's broken, keep it running, and then eventually it becomes end of life and it has to be replaced. Now, the thing about software that I want to mention is typically with software, you buy a software package for $50,000, and then we pay 20% every year for maintenance, support, and upgrades. But now they're switching to a more of a subscription type model. So instead of $50,000, you might have to pay $30,000, but you have to pay that every year. So that's why software is one of our biggest expenses now. If you look at your tech fee, which is $11.50 a credit, we're a little bit above what the average is, but that doesn't tell the whole story of what the tech fees are and how it compares to the other schools. Winona State kind of skews everything because their tech fee is $7.74. But what that doesn't show is that they also have to lease a laptop. So on top of that, they also have to pay $500 a year for that laptop lease. So if you take a student, another thing is our fees are capped, whereas some of the other universities are not. So if you have a student that's taken 16 credits at all these universities, you'll see that students here pay less in tech fees than everybody else at $138. All right. So a year ago, everybody that was coming to the student government was asking for an increase in their fees. And we heard that loud and clear. We also were very aware that students were also having to deal with gasoline prices, cost of rent, cost of food going up. We heard that loud and clear. So I stood in front of you last year and said, let's keep the tech fee where it is, at $11.50. We didn't ask for an increase, but what we had asked for is to come back this year and talk about an increase in tech fees to keep up with inflation. One of the biggest inflation increases that we had was actually the decrease in student credit revenue, which tech fee took a hit on that one, about $64,000. And we also had the student salary increase, which is about $120,000. So combined, this year, we had $186,000 less in tech fees to help pay and keep up with technology. So that was a hit of about 63 cents a credit. So what we're proposing this year is an increase in the student tech fee by 50 cents a credit, which ends up being about 4.35%. Now it's important that you realize that this 4.35% does not apply to the 2% that students would have to go for referendum. This is a totally separate fee that just doesn't apply to that at all. But still, even with the 50-cent increase, it still doesn't cover the cost of inflation. It still leaves us 13 cents less per credit than we got a year ago. Some of the things that are coming up, what that will buy, it'll continue to provide the technology and the support that we have today. But we have a couple of things that are really expensive that are coming up because their servers and storage need to be replaced this summer. And a year from now, we have about $2.1 million of network equipment that needs to be replaced. So tech fees is not going to pay for that. And remember all our different funding sources? Everybody's going to be contributing to that, and we're depending on tech fee to pay their fair share of that. Now, this is not for us, because we don't have a lot of equipment in IT, but this is for everybody else in the university. The classrooms, the offices, all the technology that you see, everything plugs into the network, so we have to keep that maintained. Just some of the questions that you have, or you might have, do we have a reserve? And the tech fee does not have a reserve. But another question is, who does this benefit? Really, all students benefit from the tech fee. Some of the requests that you get are for a small number of students, but the tech fee truly does support and benefit all students. And that's all I have for the presentation, but I'll stand for questions.
Amazing, thank you very much. I'll open it up then for if we have any questions. Senator Wing.
Just to clarify, this is banded at 12 credits, correct?
Yes, it is.
So that'll be 144.
This would bring it up to the cap of $12 a credit, yes.
All right.
Perfect, thank you. Senator Blanchard.
I know we're already at cap on student activities fee, but why is the esports not in that, and why is it under the tech fee?
Do you want to talk about esports?
Because there's limited time, haven't to talk about that more, but that was actually driven by students 3 or 4 Senates ago, and they asked for us to start the program, and they asked us to use those fees to do that. So that's really where it started. Is that where it belongs forever? Probably not, but that's how it started, and until we find an alternate way of funding it, we're gonna have to continue with what we do.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Other questions? Other questions? Seeing none, thank you guys so much for the wonderful presentation. Thank you for coming in. I see I assume a point of clarification from
Just
John.
a logistical thing, but prior to this presentation, it was not in the Teams folder that you have access to. It is now there, okay? So Brian sent it to me before the meeting, and I have since put it in there for you, so you can see this exact presentation.
Perfect. Next up, I have a presentation for the CSU budget. You may start whenever you're ready, and you also have 10 minutes to speak as needed.
Hey, can we motion for a 5-minute recess? We have a tech issue.
Would you guys like to, instead of motioning for a 5-minute recess, would it be amenable to switch the order of presentations
That's
to the
fine,
next
too.
one?
That's fine.
Keep in mind, they may have to plug into that area. Would that be okay?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Presentation from ACLU. Looks like we're still having some tech issues. Do you guys need more time?
way the reporter's gonna take those photos out of context.
For a 3-minute recess for them to figure out their tech issues.
Motion for a 3-minute recess on the table. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. All right, do we have any dissent to a 3-minute recess? Seeing no dissent, you guys have 3 minutes. And if needed, we can take longer.
Emma, I thought about you this weekend because I judged discussion.
Did you love it?
That was
I
such
actually
a
really did
creepy
like
way to
it.
open that
Discussion
statement.
Sorry.
is just like every round's different.
Yeah.
Was there? Okay.
The task, it's about like environmental policy and
I
everything
saw what
like
it
that.
was. Yeah.
And the one that I got was they're making like greenhouses basically, like houses. You know,
How long did they take? Did they take the full time?
they
Was it a
like
prelim round?
50 minutes.
Who was like, so I'll set the agenda.
Yes.
I have like,
Were you that person?
I was not. But
That,
my tactic was, if no one else said it, I was like, hey, like, would anyone like to make the agenda? I was the person that was like, oh, this person's being left out. I'm gonna like include them in the conversation, which one kind of like was very nice. Like the judge is like, oh my gosh, you're so nice.
I like that.
But then sometimes I was prepared, so like it would make me still look better. Well then, this is how I did so well always is because there's always one guy who wants to talk to everyone. I'd be like James, James. I know you. I know you can share a lot, but we haven't really been friends. I really like to hear about wild.
Good, because I have stuff to add. I love
Yeah, Bob always has something. Bob was the
Yeah.
yeah, to send a referendum.
Is that
That's a budget meeting. No, techies later. Does that
Tabled. I will
No, they
mention
said
it.
it doesn't approve by. Yeah, it doesn't go to. What about like CSU? Do we go on that?
Does tech fee go to referendum?
I was not.
No? Okay.
Oh, so that's after budget.
Athletics and student activity.
Do you want to see my Tina Smith application? I know, but like now it's like actually complete. Well, not really a lot, like you probably wouldn't notice much. It's in a PDF form, which took me multiple tries to finish. No, I'm waiting to do the Tina Smith. I'm just like working on the email.
That's so good.
Isn't it?
Those are references.
No, the fact that I color coded all of the resumes and used their like
They're gonna love that.
campaign logo.
They're gonna be like, wait, were you majoring in marketing or? So it's gonna be.
Then they're gonna find out it took me 6 hours in the middle of the night to like be able to just copy paste colors, and they're gonna be like, I am going for the penny pages. If there's a grammar mistake and they're like, oh, she used the colors, I'll tell them.
There better be a pity interview.
They're gonna be a
For
pretty
the amount of
job.
work that you do. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I'll tell you this. I've been.
Well, actually, I just got a text. I got hunting with the former mayor of St. Paul. I called him last night. I was like, hey, do you happen to know anyone in like that you knows which is or I was like, oh, I'm looking at like congressman or congressman Collins' office, and he goes, DC.
Here says she's going.
St. Paul. He says, I wonder if it's gonna go to this guy. This is like first time. Both chief of staff. And he texted me and he said.
Okay, I mean, I'll take it.
He said I had someone with influence on you on your McCullough application.
I love it. I love it.
And then last year, one of my board members was with Tina Smith. She's gonna flag it internally. My dad's gonna text Angie Craig, who was her finance chair.
You're really using your network. We could run
Hey,
now.
there's only one way to do this. It's not my fight. And then we're also Angie Craig's campaign treasurer. His daughter babysat her growing up, so he's gonna text me. And like whoever's involved.
Because literally, what you can like, David, there's a lot of things on your table. You might feel by yourself. I'm like,
For one of those outsiders in this district.
new plan.
Yeah.
Start texting everybody. I love it.
Which I would rather text a staffer to flag it. I don't trust the office actually flag it. And also, I kind of scared. I didn't fish it. I just like.
Maybe just don't look that one up.
I changed my.
Yeah, literally. All right. Hey friends, I'm gonna pull us all back because we're past 3 minutes. I'm gonna ask, is our group over there ready to present? I'm getting a head nod. Cool. All right, looks good. All right, then you guys have 10 minutes to present whenever you are ready to start.
Hello folks, my name is Tyler Pickle and I'm the chair of the CSU board.
Microphone.
Alrighty. Hello, I'm Tyler Pickle, I'm the chair of the CSU board.
It's an old one, I'm sorry.
Out of order. Out of order.
I wanted to send a special thanks to Mark and Patrice for helping us so much with the process. But some of these other people that you see on here came and presented to us and helped us with the budget and coming up with a pretty good budget that you're about to see here today.
Before we get started with the numbers, we did kind of want to do some highlights from the past year. We got a few new offerings. Starbucks is the newest one. It replaced our Jasmine's Cafe, and we've seen a huge increase of people using it. And then Chick-fil-A got moved downstairs and got a bigger area. With that, we've noticed that a lot of students are now going downstairs, which is one of the goals of putting it down there. Firehouse Subs is a new sub offering, and then Hito Sushi and Pecking Plate is new as well. And then pre-COVID usage, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but if you come during lunchtime, the CSU is packed, and so we're really happy to see that. And then also outside by the Map Mall, we have a new digital display. We are able to project university info. RSOs are able to promote their events and everything like that, along with weather info.
This next element here is just giving you a comparison year to year and what we are looking at for this upcoming year. One of the first things you'll notice here is the student fee assessment. You'll notice that as a result of some declining enrollment, we're expecting a slight decrease of about approximately $80,000 in student fee revenue for year to year. Additionally, you'll notice that our rental income is going up a little bit. To note, just a little bit of explanation of what that is. It is all these various organizations on campus, such as the LGBTQ Center, the Women's Center, as just a few examples that pay into it, the rental income. The self-generated, which you'll notice has a slight bit of an increase. That's primarily having to do with the idea that we're going to get a little bit more commission from Sodexo. But these comes from all of these areas, vending machines, Sodexo, as just a few of the areas that are covered under the self-generated. And then the interest income, you'll notice, is at the same, and that comes from the reserved interest that we receive overall. So you'll notice that that comes out to be $3,859,916 in terms of estimated revenue for this upcoming year.
Now breaking it down to our expenses. Compared to last year, you're going to notice that we do have an increase of expenses all around pretty much. One of the biggest ones is fuel and utilities. If you rent, you know your utility prices have gone up, and so we're accounting for that. Employment prices are going up. We've padded in for a possible student wage increase. We don't know if that's happening, but we just wanted to be prepared for it. You'll also see our debt services have remained about the same. They went up a little bit, and then we did decrease our deferred maintenance to kind of pad for the increase of all the other expenses.
This is just going to go slightly over in terms of the staff elements here. We're looking at an estimated about 4.3% increase on the staff salary and fringe. This is primarily accounting for the expected amount for a union's increase. And then you'll notice the student help at 6.7% in terms of potential increases of student wages / jobs and things along those lines. And then the total non-salary excluding student help about 2.9%. This is still an overall decrease of our overall expenses by about nearly 1%, about 0.9%.
Here's a nice little pie chart kind of showing our revenue. You'll see the biggest one is the rent, so all the programs that are in the CSU that are paying to be in here. Commission, that's all of our food services. If we have, sometimes we hold weddings, we get revenue from that. Games and rec, that is the bullpen, so any revenue they produce, we get. And then interest is also shown there.
So you'll notice that we have a balanced budget up here. Our estimated revenue, $3,859,916, and as we've shown you, that includes the student fee that's coming up, some of the self-generated revenue, the rental income, and our interest income, and then the expenses is the exact same, balanced budget. So no reserves from us. And this covers salaries, revenue, fund expenses, bond payments, utilities, and all the things that have just been previously mentioned by Tyler.
We did kind of want to show you a history of the CSU fee. You'll notice that we like to decrease it or keep it the same. The past few years we've been able to decrease it whenever we're very student focused, so if we don't need to increase fees, we're not going to. We will try to cut it as much as possible, but this year we will be getting a 1.5 increase hopefully.
And this gets right to the recommendation itself. The recommendation will be going from 1037 to 1052. That is a 15% increase per credit. And that just adds up to, as Tyler just said here, a 1.5% increase overall. So pretty small increase overall, just to cover some of the fact that enrollment is going down, which is shown right there, which is a 2.8% decrease in terms of that student fee assessment overall from fiscal year 23. So slight increase to cover some of that, but we have all those other revenue sources that we've talked about and reducing expenses by a little bit to keep that nice and balanced and functional for everyone.
That's all we have for you. Is there any questions?
Thank you very much. We're going to open it up for questions now, if we have any. I do not see any questions. Oh yeah, go right ahead.
So not a question about the budget, but just something to think about as we kind of move forward with the CSU. I love that we try to keep fees low. I really appreciate you all, one, coming with a balanced budget, two, under 2%, look at you. So I was wondering, you know, we go through a lot of paper at the university. When we're going through all of our other budgets, we see thousands and thousands of dollars in printing posters and different advertisements. It was a midnight thought, but maybe moving towards some more digital, either poster boards that could have multiple things up at once on it. Obviously this is not an immediate thing, but just for y'all to take back to the CSU board that may have an impact around campus as well.
Yeah, that's actually something we've been looking at, kind of. Some of our departments, they've decreased their printing services and are focusing more on how do we get to the students in a digital format. We sent out a survey to a select random amount of students, and we're trying to investigate ways to better approach our students in a more eco-friendly way as well.
Thank you very much. Do I see something from Senator Mueller or no? All right, great. Any other questions? Any other questions? Seeing none, you guys did an absolutely wonderful job, an amazing job on balancing the budget, so congratulations. All right, now so we can think about something that's not budget related, we're going to go to our third and final presentation for today from the ACLU. A little scary. As with the other groups, you will also get 10 minutes and can start whenever you want. Yeah, you can park there now. I think it actually starts
Yeah, the cover drawing.
Because I know that that's a big part of
Dissent. No dissent? Okay, 3-minute recess.
Okay, James, you want to run the podcast, right? I do, but I don't want to like.
Is it like
We can run.
written well?
Well, no, but I'm saying like I need to go home and change it. You look fine. You
No, I don't.
use your white boy energy.
Wait, if it's really because
Like I'll play photograph.
I was speaking to team because that's Lisa sending hers years back, and she wrote it like she was writing 2 rooms out of so I was like, no, that's not who she works for right now. Well, right now she's a law student, but she interned out in DC through she still applying to film, but it was set up through some organization through Bobby on the Capitol. So there's like a group like 10 to their houses. So yeah, she sent me her resume. Her resume only had 2 bullet points about super. I was like,
People are just so if it doesn't start the day
but what's your resume?
I didn't look at the resume because I didn't want to. I'm sure.
yeah, I can see it here, so we have to like rely on study source or track. You use the
Yeah, I'm moving to.
story probably just wait for
Instead of the photo launch spaces, the
feeling a little bit cold. I'm not gonna lie. It's like really nice outside. I haven't been outside in a while. I'm just like studying and working and just like need to go touch grass.
So you get to gavel us back in 30 seconds.
Emma.
What?
I'm on this light. Do it. You have the power.
I don't even have to.
Emma. Emma, do it for my resume.
I can be like
Research adjourned. Just
There's so many. Out of order.
That was Tyler. Aren't you? No, we can't even do anything about it.
So they need to see that. They need to see that I can do some work when it comes to it.
No coordinating.
Not really, but if I had that already LinkedIn, then I definitely would.
And then you can work on it.
Okay. He's coming to us now. No, I already.
We're still waiting on them, so we can just continue to recess.
So I already. Oh, Jack, which one? My resumes like each other.
no, it's not.
Edie, we have 1 free ticket left for the season. So you're gonna make me some. How many favors do I have to owe you? No, 1 favor. No, I'm not. You have mine.
Emma, I was writing a cover letter.
You will?
Wait, Emma, do you need help writing a cover letter?
It's already done.
Then what do you need help with? Like, do not owe Bob his favor.
It is $1.87 for 14 days. Please enter do payment information. I was like, so Bob gave me $1.87 on his credit card so I could apply to a congressional internship.
I think that you just,
I get that position.
I think you just owe Bob like $2.
Yeah, you owe Bob $2 and you're done.
Technically 4 because he was about to be a bubbler.
You owe me a position. Well, that was
Really,
graduation. That one didn't
to
count.
know, to be honest.
That one didn't count. That was graduation. I'll send you.
Those work for me.
Emma, I'll skip the next week.
Oh, someone took my shit.
No, that's fair.
So it's okay.
If you want to be demoted to coordinator,
No, it's an hour, it's an hour later.
Oh, I will. We technically don't want to make sure that. And I just
you know what, I'm gonna do something a little bit out of order. Hey, we've been recessing for significantly over the 3 minutes, and I know that tech is still working on that. I know you're gonna motion to recess again. I have a better idea. Instead of that, I say that we continue along with the agenda, and once tech is ready, we will return to that. So I say continue along with the agenda, and we'll come back to the presentation once we get a thumbs up from them. Is there any dissent to moving forward? Any dissent? Seeing no dissent? Beautiful. We're going to keep on moving. So, then in that case, we're going to go to open forum. Do we have anyone here for open forum? Yes, David Cowan.
This is just an invitation. We have a annual hearing for parking policy, budget, and capital improvements scheduled for Thursday at 12 noon, from 12 noon until 1:15. We'll be discussing proposed 4% increase in parking permits, justified by inflation primarily, and potholes secondarily. But we also have a proposal to adjust the top of the hour of coverage for some bus routes, not all bus routes. Bus routes are not being discarded or eliminated. The existing U zone remains the same, except the 10 o'clock cutoff proposal is to pick up $30,000 at $105 an hour. So we would knock off at 9 p.m. instead of 10 p.m. So that would be discussed at the public hearing tomorrow. Following the public hearing, immediately following the public hearing, the advisory committee will, while the testimony is fresh in their minds, will then make a decision and make a recommendation both on busing for next year as well as on parking for next year, parking rate increase for next year.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions? Any questions? Seeing none? Thank you very much.
So, Mr. Speaker, should I accept that as an endorsement?
That is Madam Speaker, and
Madam Speaker,
you
right.
can accept that as if people have more questions, they might come back.
No.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. Do we have anyone else for open forum? Yes. Was I hearing storm from somewhere over there? Okay, I do not think so. Are you good to go? Okay, cool. Actually, before we do that, I'm just going to do last call for open forum so we can close that out. Last call. Anyone open forum? Seeing no one for open forum, going back to presentations from ACLU.
Okay, just to start things out, I'm going to be passing out 3 forms, so if I could just ask each of you guys to take one and then just keep passing it down, and then I'll just collect whatever's left at the end. Oh, thank you. So yeah, just to kind of get started a little bit, I'll explain a little bit more about what all of the forms mean as I keep going, but I just want to thank Storm and Edmund for both inviting me to speak on this today. So basically, this upcoming March 29th, the ACLU of Minnesota will be hosting its annual lobby day up at the state capitol in St. Paul. So I'm really just like trying to outreach to like other students and kind of let them know like, hey, like this would be like a great opportunity if you want to speak to any of your state representatives and legislators and let them know like oh, like these are some concerns or issues that we may have that we want you guys to, like, are you in support of this? Yes, no. And we also want to thank them as well for the work that they've been doing, just because the state legislature has been moving at a lot faster pace this year, but I'll go more into depth about that. Okay, so just a little bit of background information on what exactly the ACLU is. So following the end of World War I, the United States feared that the communist revolution was eventually going to spread to the states. And so as a result, Attorney General Mitchell Palmer began his infamous Palmer raids. And then as a result of that, the U.S. Department of Justice started to arrest and deport suspected socialists, anarchists, and communists. And then as a result, many people's civil liberties were infringed upon. And that's how the ACLU basically started, and it stands for the American Civil Liberty Union. And as of this moment in time, there are currently more than 1.7 million members that are active along with the ACLU, and there's offices like all over the country. It's not just a Minnesota thing, but it was actually founded in 1952 in Minnesota, but back then it was just called the Minnesota Civil Liberties Union. But as of now, it's kind of been like a coalition, so there's offices all over the country. So these are kind of some of the values that the ACLU holds, and I'll go more into depth about what all of them are. So the ACLU of Minnesota continues to protect the interests of those disfavored or marginalized in our contemporary American society. The ACLU of Minnesota is a nonpartisan group that defends the civil liberties of everyone, regardless of their beliefs, politics, gender, social orientation, race, and ethnicity. We value civil rights and civil liberties for everyone, especially those who are most vulnerable. Now going and talking about a little bit more about our values, we value equity for everyone and equal justice in accordance with the law. We respect the inherent dignity of all Minnesotans and the inclusion of everyone to participate in our democracy. We value all of our members and community partners who make our work possible. Diversity and teamwork are characterized by demonstrating honesty, respect, and professionalism in the workplace towards everyone. And then lastly, the ACLU of Minnesota values the voices of those who have been historically and systematically excluded and disenfranchised. And how do we promote these values? The ACLU promotes all of these values through litigation, community engagement, and lobbying. Litigation includes promoting the civil rights of Minnesotans by selecting, arranging, and trying cases with the potential to establish legal precedents, broaden interpretation, and strengthen their civil liberties. Community engagement involves reaching out to Minnesotans and educating them about their civil liberties with educational materials, speaking in public on public rights, and also allowing individuals to advocate for themselves. And then lastly, the ACLU really promotes lobbying as well. Lobbying is essential, and we encourage all Minnesotans to testify on bills that specifically implicate liberties. So then just to let you guys know a little bit more about our lobby day, which is coming up 2 weeks from today, actually. So like I mentioned before, the Minnesota State Legislature has made purposeful strides in protecting and expanding the civil rights of those who have been systematically marginalized in Minnesota. Bills that the ACLU and their coalitions have been working on and advocating for years have been passed on in the House and in the Senate as well. And also a lot of the bills that the ACLU has been focusing on have also been signed by Governor Walz as well. So just to let you guys know of what we're going to be doing at Lobby Day. So I think the plan is at the moment is that we're going to leave at around like 11 in the morning on March 29th, and we're just gonna bring like a shuttle bus parked right outside the CSU. And so we'll leave at around like 11 in the morning. We'll make it to the Capitol at around like 12:30 and 1, and then we'll be done talking with all of our state reps and legislators at around like 3. So we'll be back in Mankato no later than 5 o'clock in the evening, and transportation will be made available for those who can't drive up there. So yes. So just kind of talking about one of the forms that I did send out. I think it says like ACLU of Minnesota legislative priorities. It says on there the specific bills that we've been focusing on, and so I'm just kind of gonna highlight some of them. So these are the current legislative priorities. For those of you who are interested in reproductive freedom, the Protect Reproductive Options Act was recently signed into law, giving Minnesotans the right to make decisions about their own reproductive health. Not only will abortion be more accessible, but so will access to contraceptives. The legalization of marijuana is something that the ACLU is also focusing on, and it's necessary to help end unjustified arrests and prosecutions of people of color in the state. And speaking on state civil rights claims, it is extremely difficult to sue the government officials for liability for violating people's constitutional rights due to a doctrine known as qualified immunity. And then the Restore the Vote campaign is working on restoring the voting rights for those who have been released from incarceration in a civil detention center, but still do not have access to vote until their probation period ends. But I think that one was also signed into law, or passed in the House and in the Senate. So that's also something else that Governor Walz will be signing pretty soon. And then talking about the gross misdemeanor sentencing reform. So I think this also was passed down in the State House and Senate. And so kind of just to give you guys a little bit more background information on what exactly that is. So according to state law, you can get charged for up to 365 days for getting a gross demeanor. But let's say you are a green card holder or you're a resident and you eventually want to apply for your citizenship status here in the US, federal immigration law considers any sentence of 365 days or longer a federal crime. So let's say I served a gross misdemeanor sentence of 365 days and I know somebody else who served a gross misdemeanor sentence of 364 days. Let's say we're both green card holders eventually trying to apply for a citizenship status. My consequences are going to be a lot more harsher just based on one day, which just doesn't make any sense. So that's why we are very happy that this bill has also passed in the House and in the Senate, because it'll fix any any confusion towards that as well. And then you can go to the next one too. Okay, perfect. And so then how to reach us? Tomorrow, actually, at the CSU, myself and my supervisor will be tabling from 11:30 to 1 o'clock. We're just going to be, downstairs right next to MABAB and Starbucks. So I encourage any of you guys to come to see if you're interested in maybe attending. And then tomorrow also as well, one of the flyers that I also sent out talks about our event at the Women's Center tomorrow. It'll be from 4 to 6 o'clock. For those of you who are interested in maybe coming as well, we'll be holding just a meeting, and food will be provided as well. And you guys can feel free to bring any questions that you may ask or that you may have on the event and what exactly lobbying looks like, because I personally haven't done it as well, but I'm very excited to, just because I feel like it'll be a great opportunity, especially for those who are eligible to vote here in the state. We want to let our representatives know that, thank you for all this hard work that we're doing, but also here are some other concerns that we have as Minnesotans. And you don't just have to talk to the representatives that represent Mankato and Blue Earth County. You can talk, if you have a different home address, feel free to talk to anybody that you want to as well. So yeah, that'll be tomorrow, March 16th from 4 to 6 at the Women's Center. And then next week as well, on Monday and Thursday, the 20th and the 23rd, we'll also be tabling as well from 11:30 to 1 o'clock. And then my supervisor and my contact information is down below as well. And so yeah, there should be a little QR code on 2 of the flyers that I sent out as well. So yeah, if you guys are interested at all in registering or anything, let me know. And
thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much. Do we have any questions for Angel from the ACLU? Yes, President Sumner.
Not a question, I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming to Senate and letting students know about it, as well as partnering with different departments around campus.
Oh, thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you so very much. With that, we didn't have anyone else for open forum, so I'll do one last call open forum. Seeing none, gonna move on to the approval of the consent agenda. Are there any amendments or dissent to the consent agenda? Any amendments or dissent? Seeing none, consent agenda is passed. All right, officer reports. President Zelmer.
So last week over spring break, I was out in DC with the Students United Board of Directors. We were able to meet with different legislators. I know, okay, in DC you don't normally meet with the legislator, that's just kind of how it works out there. But we did get to meet in person with Senator Tina Smith, who always meets with us in person, as well as Representative Angie Craig. But we did conduct meetings with all of the different offices. A lot of times with staffers, they won't give you straight answers, so couldn't tell you where it's gonna go. But while we were out there, President Biden's budget report, our budget proposal came out. I will say, don't ever look at a president's budget proposal and think it's going to happen, especially with a divided legislature. It's more of a value signaling. But there was a over $800 increase to the Pell Grant in there, TRIO, funding for, like, more funding to help lower tuition costs, things like that. So I look forward to seeing what the House and Senate have, because I'm sure it'll be a fun time out there coming up. Other than that, we were talking a lot about mental health. Those conversations did go really well with representatives from both sides of the aisle, as well as TRIO program conversations typically go really well. That's been historically a bipartisan issue. It's been around for long enough. There's also great data, and data shows that it works really well. So a lot of our congressmen and women up in, or down and out to the side in DC are in support of that. So that was a lot of fun. I will, on the Students United note, let you all know that internships, or not internships, sorry, but the scholarships are due at the end of the month, I believe. For officer applications, they are due on Friday. I will repeat, officer applications are due on Friday, as well as internships are on a rolling basis right now. If you are interested in running for Students United state chair, vice chair, or treasurer, come and talk to me. I was 2 of those positions, and I also have hot takes on the treasurer role and like what you could do with it. So let me know if you're interested. State chair is 20 hours a week. It's $16.50 an hour, and that's all hybrid, so you don't have to be up in the cities. As well as vice chair is $15 an hour. Again, if you're interested, please, please, please let me know. I would love for us to be able to kind of hang on to having Mankato students on the officer staff, because that way we can elevate issues a little bit quicker since we are on this campus. Similar to what happened with being able to get contracts over $1 million seen by students. That was something that came up through us. I was state chair, so I was able to bring it up that month. Other than that, we are conducting our regular meetings with the president as well as others. If you are interested in serving, I know Senator Messa's already reached out to me, but if you're interested in serving, we do have a spot on the Transfer Curriculum Committee and the Transfer Operations Committee. So we're able to fill those, as well as the panel. I do need to know tonight if you're interested in being on that panel. So if you're a transfer student, please do it. Because you're on student government, you can really use your experience to do that. So I know we're all busy, but they'll be able to schedule around your availability. And I was told to keep it short today, but make sure that you all go to the parking and transportation open forum. We oversee all of those fees, so make sure you go get all your questions answered, see what people are thinking. The budget book is in the office. I have not seen, I saw you paging through the budget book today, but not everyone has been paging through the budget book, and I was able to take it home for a night and no one even noticed. So y'all need to get in there, use the budget book, look into that. If you have any questions, let us know, as well as the CSU office can also help you figure out what different line items mean. And we will be meeting about the textbook resolution we passed tomorrow with the IFO. So I will fill you in on how the Faculty Association thinks about that.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions for President Zelmer? Any questions? Seeing none, Vice President Ibrahim.
Okay, I only have 2 updates for you as usual. So first, the ones from Student United. They are planning to host the International Students Visual event where students across the campus, 7 campuses, can connect to each other and create a networking. And we will be brainstorming for that event. So I have a meeting with them tomorrow, and I will update you how that goes. But I think it's a good event, and we'll see how that goes. The other one is the Space Naming Committee had their first meeting, and we had an amazing discussion about the Dakota Lounge. The committee approved the name, and they will be reporting back to the President Inch, and that will be, I think, in our next meeting confirmed in April, so we will know, I think, what his decision is with that. So, and then one last thing, this is announcement, okay. The Student United fundraising event will be the 30th of this month, so if you're planning to go, I just wanted to let you know that's the date, and I yield. Any questions?
Are there any questions? Not seeing any. Unless, did you have one?
No, that was it.
Perfect. All right, not seeing any, I will go ahead and give my report. Welcome back from spring break. Spring break can easily throw us off of the office hours schedule. So this week we are not submitting office hours, but the week after is an office hours submitting week. So keep that in mind as you're documenting your office hours and what you're doing. Also, talking about next week. Next week is our big budget meeting. You've been hearing a lot of hype about it. Who's ready for us to be done with that and just bite the bullet, take the big meeting, and get it over with? So that meeting, we are going to be starting at 3:30 because there's people using the space right before us. So we're going to be starting at 3:30 rather than at 3, which we were originally planning on, but still 30 minutes earlier than our regular time. We will not be having committee prior to that, so there's no academic, no student affairs, and no joint committee prior. We're just starting at 3:30. We're doing the budget meeting. It's going to look a little bit different than our regular meeting, and we're going to run through and hopefully get done early enough to go to bed at a reasonable hour. We're going to have a couple of minor rule changes. Primarily, the most significant one is going to be that we're going to be limiting talking points for people to 3 points per person per topic. So when we're on a topic, we're limiting how many times a person could talk about it, just to make sure that we're moving through things quickly. That's something that I already mentioned to the committee group, but now that way everybody can know about that. And otherwise, we're going to be more or less running the meetings similarly to how we run them here, via Robert's rules, with kind of some slight little amendments to make it flow a little bit easier for the student government style. Nothing you guys aren't already used to. So I'm anticipating it'll be a great time, but only if we all look at those budget reports and get that stuff ready to go. And also, if you're planning on amending any of those SAC recommendations, any of those line items, tell me ahead of time so that I know to call that group in, and tell me by Friday, because that's when we need to call them in by. If we aren't calling them in before that and we want to make adjustments to them, that's A, a very shady move to do during the meeting, and B, the 3 of us are going to assume that we're all in agreement that we're going with the SAC recommendation, and we're going to put that as a non-controversial item. And so we want to know what the controversial items are to bring those people in and to pull them for discussion. I'll now open it up for questions. Senator Runker.
What room is the budget meeting in again?
We're in 245, right?
Yeah, the one.
Yeah, right across from us, 245.
Oh, yeah, it's that way.
Yep. All right. Any other questions? Yeah, go for it.
So for the budget meeting, if you are inviting groups, make sure they get the questions ahead of time. That's just, that way they can actually come and have everything you want, and they're not like, oh, I'm not sure, I wish I had a day's heads up. So make sure you are submitting questions. There is a form for the departments in our Teams folder for you to write down questions for different department areas. Good rule of thumb is if you think it's a question that can be handled on paper, absolutely, but if it's something that you are going to be basing like your budget philosophy off of, you should probably ask that of every department, and you can just kind of, like, people can choose to respond to it over email or something like that to all of us. And again, if you're collecting any information from different departments, please try to get it in writing. That way We're not like, oh, I talked to this department at the budget table and they said this and someone else heard something else. That way it's just in writing and nice, clear and pretty like that. Also, if you have any really hot takes, it'll make the budget meeting go easier if you just like share them with people, especially like people who talk with everyone. So it's highly frowned upon by most people at the table, if not everyone, especially later on in the night. You just like bring up a wild idea and then we're like, what the heck, and it just sends everything off the rails. So transparency is key for easy budget meetings.
Sweet. Vice President Abraham.
One last comment. Also, if you have any questions about the speaker's rule or how the meeting will be run, reach out to Stormy so you will know how that works and we don't have to be confused at the budget meeting.
Slay. All right, thank you. Any other questions for me? Sweet. Yeah, Emma pointed out a wonderful thing. Amber sent out an email to you guys about dietary restrictions because we're getting pizza. If you have dietary restrictions, tell Amber.
Tonight.
Yes. Perfect. So, moving right along, we have our Dean of the Day, Dean Flannery.
Hello, friends. I liked when Speaker Novak said that. So, hello, friends. Good to see you again. I'm here to send greetings from the College of Business, and we have I'll share a couple of good news points with you to start with. We have the Board of Trustees this year, and past years, but last couple of years, Minnesota State Mankato has been nominating faculty to be recognized as excellent faculty. You probably know about this. And two faculty that were nominated and forwarded to the Board of Trustees both came from the College of Business. So Dr. Shane Boyer and Dr. Byron Pike. Dr. Boyer is a management and entrepreneurship professor, and Dr. Pike is an accounting professor, and they both were forwarded as outstanding professors from the university, and now will be recognized at a Board of Trustees event in April. So pretty cool news, and glad to share that with you. We have a lot of events going on right now as well. We have a big event tomorrow, and I have a couple of postcards. This may be on your radar, it may not be.
But, and I don't have a ton, so if you want to look at it and write it down or just pass it on, but
we have been doing for quite a few years the Richard Schmidt Food Entrepreneurship Series, and about a year ago we reached out to Christine Lantelin. She's a 1998 graduate from the university, and she bought a company years ago called Maud Borap, and has really created it into being a very unique candy company. And our students have been working with the company almost the last 6 months to come up with their next new type of candy. And so she's coming, and she's bringing like 9 members of her team tomorrow, and she has been working with these students to come up with the next new candy. They're going to be outside of Ostrander giving free candy samples. And then there'll be an announcement of which candy Maud Borat selected to actually then move forward and bring it into their candy lineup. So it's been really a fun collaboration with her and her company, and tomorrow's the big day where they will be on campus. Lots of events, but there is also an event from 3:30 to 5 o'clock in Ostrander, if you can join us. So I will finish there and see if you have any questions, but just great to see all of you. Thank you so much for your hard work. I know the next couple of months are really busy for all of you, so stay strong and keep doing your good work. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you so much. Do we have any questions? Yeah, President Zelmer.
I know last time you were here you mentioned the accreditation process. I was just wondering Obviously you survived, I hope you went well and then you were able to rest, but did it go well overall?
Overall, it did go well. I think probably the highlight for the accreditation team was actually meeting with the students for lunch. I know a couple of you were in that luncheon with them, and they were highly impressed by our students, thought that they were incredibly engaged and well-spoken, so I want to thank the students for really representing us well. So it did go well, and we will continue on. There are a few things that they thought we should be working on, especially around some things that affect, well, actually almost all the programmatic things that we do, they really thought we were doing well. They thought we probably needed to have a few more student spaces, actually, in Morse Hall. They pointed out that kind of as a footprint for a business school, we are really pretty small. And that was sort of surprising for them to hear, but one of the times they were walking around, a bunch of students were in a space and we're pretty small footprint, and so they have asked us to look at possibly getting a little more space. So the great thing about the visit is it's here to help us improve as well, but overall they thought we're doing what they said best practices at a national level with a lot of our programs and curriculum. So thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Amazing. Thank you so much for coming in and talking with us. All right, next up we have Senator reports. Senator Parikh.
Hello everyone. Of course it's going to be short. I'm working with Senator Niraula in their wayfinding project. Recent update that they all talked about how they have finalized and finished having the first mock-up UI design of what the software will look like from the user end. And let me tell you, it's amazing until now. Shout out to our wayfinding visits and Senator Niraula for making every effort that they could. We are working on security funds. Everyone, we are looking for securing funds for the project to ensure that the team can successfully deliver a prototype of the application by the end of the semester. Hopefully everything works out and we will have a developed application if we do find secure funding. Other than the wayfinding project, I've been attending the PR and marketing meetings with Senator Coordinator Mesta, and something different that I did this time was the Student Tech Fee Committee with Brian Schneider, and I've been a part of every meeting that they had. So that's all. It's time for questions.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions? Seeing none, thank you so much for your amazing work. All right, next up we have Senator Roiger.
All right, to follow the efficiency of not taking forever, some things I've been doing is I've been attending meetings. For the most recent was the Thursday prior to spring break. And then, of course, we had the SAC recommendation that we did before spring break as well to everyone here, which before the this big meeting, we found out there were no appeals, which I think is something really awesome that we should be really proud of. So that was awesome. And then currently I'm working on fixing the grade appeals request form that is on Presence, because right now when I look at who submitted it in order to reach out, the only thing I see is yes, and then the time it's been submitted. So I can't go in and be like, okay, I need to reach out to this person for sure. As well as making sure there's a bit more of an emphasis on the 2-week past grading due date, because you can only submit grade appeals up until 2 weeks past the day grades are due from professors. So making sure that there's a bit more emphasis on that so students are getting into the professors sooner rather than later. So yeah, that's what I've been up to. So.
Sweet, thank you very much. Do we have any questions? Any questions? Seeing none. Thank you so much. All right, next up we have Senator Ibarra, and then I will also note we had another addition that unfortunately was not presented on here, but we will also have Senator Wynn afterwards. But go right ahead, Senator Ibarra.
Hello everyone. My name is Doug Mavra. I'm one of the CC senators. First, I want to talk about a couple of updates about my last semester's project. The first project I was working on was swapping two of the introductory class and the computer and electrical engineering department, E106 and 107. The administration and department agreed on that, and that would be implemented starting next semester. But one thing that was implemented for this semester is both classes are being given concurrently. Second thing I was working was MathPass. As I talked about it last semester, on my last semester's report, none of the class in CE and computer and electrical engineering got in MathPass, and I was working with Laura Jacobi to have some of the classes on MathPass, and she told me due to the current budget that might not happen soon, but it will be actively considered. And I actually emailed her today regarding if there's any update about what she's been up to about it, and surprisingly she told me she was glad that I emailed her because she was about to inform me that from the 3 classes I gave her last semester, 2 of them are going to be on MathPass session starting from next semester, and that was a great news and accomplishment, and I'm glad that I advocated for the needs of the students and my classmates, especially for the students who were having hard times with those classes. And she also told me that they already started the recruiting process for those sessions, and I will be helping with promoting the position for students in the department. Last thing I was working was finding ways to attract international students by having them given scholarship points for the amount of tutoring they attend under IEEE RSO. I had a final meeting with JC, Director of KC, about it, and she told me they're still working on integrating the academic aspect with scholarship points, but for now, just attending the conference won't be scholarship point worthy. However, professors are willing to give extra credit points for those students. That's all for my previous projects, and for this semester as a project I am working with a new RSO that is introduced to CSAT College. It's called the Disruptors. It's a project-based organization working on supporting students who are interested on working on different projects by providing them with different ideas and resources, and that includes but not limited to guiding them through research projects with professors, giving them lab access, and giving them project ideas. This organization is for all departments under CSAT, but it's focused on computer, electrical, mechanical, civil engineering, and computer science.
Very impressive. All right, next up, Senator Nguyen.
Hello everyone. So what I've been working on was collaboration with the student executive team, and student executive team is basic business center, and we for the last few months we go to all the high school and talk to all the senior, just share my experience and all the business student experience with MSU and all the opportunity we have at the school. And for the first project, was my first project with the create the investment club, and the goal is just try to create more opportunity with the investment club. And currently we have 5 members, and most of the people is kind of busy with the other internship and also midterm, so we did not have the chance to register as an OSO at the school yet. And right now we're in the process of creating a strategic plan for next year. Basically just type of investing we plan to do, competition, and how do we raise in capital for the club. And for the second project, I was actually just take a look for the last few days. Was for the business student, there's nothing more important than find an internship in the school. Just trying to have a more opportunity. And for the for the College of Business, we only have 1 person in charge of the whole internship, which is Samantha Tampa. Yeah, and she was very helpful, but we have like 100, maybe 1,000 of students trying to look for an internship, and the College of Business is very understaffed right now. So maybe I have another meeting with Dean Flannery in the next couple of weeks so we can talk more about this problem. And so yeah, that's my.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions? Any questions? Seeing none, thank you so much. All right, next up is the vacancies. The vacancies are, of course, closed, but I unfortunately, sadly, have to announce another vacancy that was just given to me right before the meeting. We have, unfortunately, another off-campus vacancy as Senator Pickle resigned. Very sad moment. But we have no new business, we have no old business, and our old business, we have the International Students Internship Class Registration Resolution, which was brought forward by Senator Rivera and seconded by Senator Destin. I was informed that we are going to be tabling that until the meeting directly following the budget meeting, which is completely cool. So, we're going to move on to our announcements. Anyone for announcement? Senator Ziegler.
Yeah, so the campus kitchen little fridge in the student government office has food in it, so if anybody is interested, anybody is hungry, please feel free to use it. It's a free resource for all students on campus. Make sure to spread the word, and that's about all I got for you.
Thank you. President Selmer.
So we talked in joint committee before this, but we do still have a lot more to discuss, as well as not everyone was there. So before this, we kind of discussed some initial thoughts on the SAC recommendations, as well as budgets, and kind of shared like what the budget meeting might start to look like. That way, we're all on the same page come tomorrow night, and we're all not like thrown off guard. So beyond that, we also at the budget meeting next week are discussing the athletic fee. We do get to decide whether or not decide to send that to referendum, and we vote on that as well. They also come and can field questions. However, it would be respectful, just like with every other department, to send our questions ahead of time, or any concerns that we would like them to be ready to address. So we are going to plan on staying here, unless you all want to move to the student government office. But we're going to stay here for a little bit. I know we already talked a lot about the SAC budget, so maybe we just talk about athletics real quick, and then people who weren't at joint committee can stick around and talk a little bit about the SAC budget with us. That we just kind of want to get general gauging as well as know what departments we want to bring. So it'll be pretty quick, but we want to make sure that we all we at least have like some knowledge going into next week about who we might want to talk to.
John Bulcock.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. A couple of things. So, based on your reports, holy crap, you all took that advice I gave about leaving your legacy seriously. So, congratulations. There's a lot of good stuff moving along here. So, that is good to see. Keep it up. You've got, as Mark called it in a CSU staff meeting yesterday, we're at the 7-week sprint. That's what's left, folks. Okay, so realistically, you got about 6 productive weeks left, honestly, because you get to study week and then you get to finals week, and it's like done. Okay, so remember what you want to leave as your legacy piece. Try to tie your packages up in a nice little bow so that it's ready to go and completed. So congratulations on that. A reminder, as you've seen in some all-student emails, we know that there are some students who choose not to read those, but there's some awards in there. So the Barnes & Noble Student Government Leadership Award is available. It is open to graduate students, undergraduate students, domestic students, international students, all of the above. Their key criteria is that you have to be involved and on the roster for student government, an RSO, the student events team, residence hall government, or an athletics team. Okay?
What about the reporter?
It's not listed specifically as one of those. So, that could be something that could be revisited, but it's not written into the criteria right now. So, those are the things that are noted on the award criteria. We don't call it a scholarship because legally it's not qualified. It's not considered one. But that application is due Friday night, so it's available on the Student Government Presence page. There is a link directly to the form in the all-student email that you've received you received on February 24th, and then you also just received on Monday as well. So, coming up in the next week or so, like we said, we've got preparation to do for the budget meeting. In your Teams folder that you have access to, there is a folder that contains the materials for the fees that have been presented. Okay, the student activity fee, the tech fee, the student union fee. I've requested the documentation for it. Wasn't there just a little bit ago, but it'll be there so that you can review that information. The student health fee is there. The athletics fee is there. All of that stuff is available for you to review in the Student Government Teams folder. It's the Student Government Teams folder, the Senate channel, and then there's a folder called the 2023 Budget Process Documents. Okay, review that. There's also blank Word docs for you to insert your questions in there. Okay, the reason for that is that we will take those and send those to the people before their fee is discussed. Okay, so what that would mean is that if you have questions for the student activity fee funded areas, please put them in there by Monday so we can get them to them by Monday. Okay, so they can review and they're not coming in going, what are they going to ask me about? Okay, so it's helpful for that. So if you have questions for the student activity fee funded areas or for the athletics fee, get those in that Word document by Monday. And we'll send those out to those departments so they have that heads up. Okay, that gives them time to prepare because some of them might not have a response if you just put them on the spot. So questions by Monday. I'm going to say noon Monday so we can get it to them before the end of the day Monday. Okay, so that would be key. And then that being said, if you have questions for the other fee funded areas, student health, student union, or tech, okay, we would need those by noon on the following Monday, since they are presented on, or since they are voted on the following week. That make sense? Okay? So please put your questions in there. We'll send them to them so that they can have a well thought out response for you, and then we'll get that information out to you. So your biggest piece of homework over the next couple weeks, or to come to next week's meeting, is to be prepared. Okay? Do your homework. Look at the budget book and the materials that you have available to you. Okay? And again, as I mentioned in the, I'm not going to hang around after this one necessarily because we've covered, I think, what I need to with you. But if you have departments who you would like to ask to come before the Senate for next week's meeting, we need to get that information, we need to get that request to them by Friday. Okay? So by tomorrow night or when Amber comes in the office Friday morning, she needs to have that information to get it to Teresa, and Teresa will let those departments know that they need to be there next week. Okay? So let us know if you want them here by Friday. Have your questions in by Monday. Cool?
Thank you very much, Senator Wing.
Thank you.
All right. Oh, yeah. So, not to add more stuff to everybody's list of concerns, but we did have our first elections rules reading today. And in order to receive the student government subsidy, you need to attend one of those before this Saturday and submit your handouts or flyers that would be printed with that subsidy by this Saturday. So there are no more scheduled, but if you need one, let us know and we will get one set up for you. So yes, the deadline for the student government subsidy for printing materials is this Saturday. And then our next two readings are going to be next Tuesday from 6:30 p.m. until 7:30 p.m. And then those of you who are senators are not eligible for the following one, which is Wednesday during our budget hearing from 3 to 4. But that is just something to put on your radar for the next few weeks. And then that's everything until our next regular meeting. So that is all that I have at the moment.
Thank you very much, Senator Mesta.
Yes. So April 6th from 5 to 10 is Latinx night. Student government has a table for 8 people. So if you guys are interested in going, this is a fun event to kind of understand Latinx culture. So please come and join us.
Thank you very much. Senator Roberts.
On March 27th at 6 p.m. in Ostrander Auditorium, we will be having our first year showcase for speech and debate students. So come and check them out. There's some pretty cool stuff happening that night. So.
Thank you very much, Senator Domenici.
There is a talent show this Friday. International Student Association is organizing it, and it's going to be from 6 to 9 in the Strander Auditorium. So if you have any talents, please sign up. Or just attend and support people, because that's going to be fun too.
Thank you very much. Any other announcements? Yes.
For those that maybe didn't get hockey tickets for Saturday night, the student events team is doing a big casino night on Saturday in the ballroom, so you come there and enjoy it. They have some refreshments and have a lot of good games and a lot of fun. So if you're looking for something to do on Saturday night, it'll be a fun activity.
Thank you very much. And our other hand from the gallery?
Yeah. I have a couple of announcements, Mike. My name is Ibrahim Adam. I'm the Student Government Liaison for the International Student Association. I'm also a Maverick Global Ambassador at the International Office. So one of the events I wanted to talk about that Marianne already mentioned. Also, we have application open for the International Student Association leadership. You know, like the president and vice president, they have to run together. So we have that open, and the deadline is extended until March 17th. So if you're looking for leadership roles and then want to be involved with different cultures as an international student, you can go ahead and apply for that. Like Mariana mentioned, the ISA talent show, which is happening this Friday. Yeah, you're welcome, and it's gonna be fun. So come on, showcase your talent. Also, as a Maverick Global Ambassador, the African night, which is happening this. You want to get the date right? Okay, it's happening at on March 25th at the CSU Ballroom from 6 to 9. It's gonna be fun. There will be dancing, singing, drama, fashion, and a lot more. So you know, it's gonna be a very great event for experience in different countries in Africa as a domestic student. So I recommend you guys attend it. Also, in the international student, the Cannes International Center, we have an event coming up called the Speed Friendly. Honestly, like me personally, in my freshman year, when I hear student government, it was intimidating. So I want like you guys to give the people, like the freshmen, the international students, the idea of what it's like being a student government, and then it's not like that big thing. It's a big thing actually. You can have a lot of experiences and build your personal development. So, but then they think that is something that they cannot do. So yeah, this speed funding, so we do like we help students to interact with different student leaders, so that they can give them the way and then open the work. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Senator. Oh, sorry. Are you good?
Yes.
Sorry if I interrupted.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming in, Senator Parikh.
Hey everyone, it's March, and for us it's Microsoft March. So just a quick reminder that we all have free access to all the Microsoft 365 app suites. There are going to be two things that I want to focus on. First is a free employee lunch and learn on March 20 for all the employee and staff. Please join us, and you do have to register, so please go to mnsu.edu/ITS. And for all of us, we have a webinar about Microsoft 365, and it's on Zoom on March 23rd at 2. So please feel free to reach out to me for details, or just look at MNSU ITS online. Thank you.
Sweet, sweet. Any other announcements? Seeing no other announcements, I would be so sad if someone waived roll call. Is it a motion on the table?
I'm asking to waive roll call.
All right, second. Thank you very much. We're going to be able to make it to diversity dinner.
Yes.
All right, roll call is waived, and we're going to go ahead and adjourn this meeting. Remember to stick around for just a little bit of a budget powwow afterwards. But this meeting is adjourned.
Budget party.
I can stay for like 2 minutes.
That's okay.